Why Yandere Simulator? Why is that the comparison you made?
I was like clenching my ass cheeks, hoping that you didn't say this.
You enjoyed Romeo and Juliet more than Hamlet?
Sarah J. Maas fun.
My brain is like racing now.
Oh no, Alex!
Good job, me. I really don't know how to speak.
Oh God! Can't do this. This is my guilty boner. Family listens to these. Never mind. Don't you me.
We totally believe you, Dean.
That's still bigger than a city.
It's more than one planet.
Shakespeare time?
Shakespeare time.
Shakespeare time?
Yes.
Shakespeare time, baby.
So now we're gonna talk about Shakespeare, which has pretty much been like the key person that I'm pretty sure everyone in at least North America has studied during high school because he's such a prolific poet, playwright, and much to his own wishes, apparently he didn't want his work to be analyzed, and yet here we are, right, like trying to make sense of his kooky nonsense. So the plays that I read of his in high school were I think Romeo and Juliet in grade 10, but we had the option to read what was the one in Venice?
Merchant of Venice.
Merchant of Venice. I'm so dumb. But yeah, so we chose Romeo and Juliet over Merchant of Venice. In grade 11 we read Macbeth, and then in grade 12 we read Hamlet. Was that common for you guys too, or did you guys read completely different stories?
My experience, grade 10 Romeo and Juliet, grade 11 Macbeth, and grade 12 Hamlet. That was literally the same order.
Okay. Alex, how about you?
Mine was actually similar, but again, I went to a weird school. We started studying Shakespeare in grade 7.
Oh wow.
So in grade 7 we did Much Ado About Nothing. In grade 8 we did Romeo and Juliet. In grade 9 we did Julius Caesar. In grade 10 we did Midsummer Night's Dream and Merchant of Venice. Grade 11 was Macbeth, and then grade 12 we had the choices between Hamlet, King Lear, and Othello. I really wanted to do King Lear, but we did Hamlet.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys read any Shakespeare outside of school? Because I performed in Twelfth Night for my school. I
also performed in Twelfth Night in grade 12.
Hey. So yeah, I did Twelfth Night. I read, I think, Othello in my own time. There were excerpts of Julius Caesar and King Lear for the final essays, or for the final, for the grade 12 diploma essay, basically. And I think that's about it. I never touched Merchant of Venice. And if I did say that I read Merchant of Venice to anyone who is listening, yeah, I was lying to you. Yeah. So how about you guys? Did you read any Shakespeare outside of it?
In grade 9, I think, my school did took a trip to Stratford, Ontario. And we went and we saw a bunch of plays there. So I think we saw King Lear, and I think we saw Richard III, or one of the Richards. I don't remember which Richard now. We saw one of the Richards. Saw Richard III later with my drama class as well. I also saw, because like my drama class went to Shakespeare a lot, so we also saw A Winter's Tale. And then the first time I read Romeo and Juliet was in grade 5. I just like picked it up at a book fair and started reading it because I was in the mood to read some Shakespeare, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think I also read I've read Midsummer Night's Dream like 5 times at this point, I swear. Because my grade 5 English class, we did a little bit of Shakespeare. We didn't do like a specific like thing of it, but we talked about like his words and like how he added to the English language and that stuff. And then we had an assignment to basically take like 2 or 3 plays and combine them into one. And so my group, we took Midsummer Night's Dream with Hamlet and I think Twelfth Night. And we had basically put together this huge like big play. And then we threw in as many other references to everything as we could think of. Like we had like references to Star Wars. We had references to like Winnie the Pooh. We had references to like Harry Potter. Like it was a chaotic mess, but it was really fun. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, I've done a lot of Shakespeare outside of high school. Also, I also didn't read Merchant of Venice in high school, but I did have to read it for my Shakespeare class last year. So I have technically read Merchant of Venice.
I still haven't. And again, if I say I did, or if I said I didn't, or if I said I did, yeah, no, the hell I didn't.
It's a weird play because like on one hand you have like the typical like fun like Shakespearean comedy kind of stuff with like the cross-dressing and the weird love triangles and
Mhm.
like the trials and that kind of stuff, and then on the other hand you have this like really anti-Semitic plot line that's really hard to watch and feels really out of place compared with the rest of it.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh God.
yeah, it's like one half of Merchant of Venice is really good and the other half makes you go, oh buddy,
Oh no.
no,
Yeah.
stop.
Okay. Gabe, how about you? Did you read any Shakespeare outside of I guess outside of high school English?
Not a bit. I saw a Shakespeare movie, but I'm not gonna count that. I'm not gonna be that guy.
Is it the Macbeth with Michael Fassbender?
It is. It very
Yeah.
much is. That is a sick movie.
That was a good adaptation. It made me believe in Michael Fassbender and Marion Cotillard until Assassin's Creed ruined it. But let's not get into that.
Let's get into that. Let's not get into that until after. But I have hot takes about that.
All right. Okay. So, I guess on that, or I guess kind of on that, actually, let's talk about like some of Shakespeare's adaptations, because there's only really so much that you can kind of talk about, like in like looking back as a high school student, because some people, like us are probably like, oh, Shakespeare, that's kind of cool. Like he's been this like prolific author for so long and studying his work is interesting. But I guess like the majority of people, it's like, what the fuck is this guy saying? So I guess looking at just how influential his work is and how famous some of his stuff is, yeah, let's look at some of his adaptations. And I think it's probably best to start with the most famous one, arguably his most famous work, and that is Romeo and Juliet.
I was gonna say,
yeah, the famous love story.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm about to make a lot of enemies today if we're talking about the Leonardo Dicaprio Romeo and Juliet movie.
I literally just pulled up like the Romeo and Juliet movie adaptations because when I was in grade 8 when we were studying this, we watched like 3 different movie adaptations. We watched the one with Leonardo DiCaprio. We watched, I don't even know what one this is. What is this? The one from 1968.
Yeah, the
I don't know what's in it. And then we also watched.
This is one with the guy who looks like Zac Efron playing Romeo.
Yeah, that one.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's from 1968. So
There's fucking Romeo and Juliet. Remember that?
Yeah.
I sure do. And yeah, and then we watched West Side Story. So we watched like a ton of adaptations of it that year.
There was what was that one? There was that one with Haley Steinfeld, I think. That's also one that exists.
Haley Steinfeld.
Apparently,
I think I watched that.
Haley Steinfeld.
Warm Bodies is also an adaptation of
I don't know
Romeo
why
and Juliet. I did not know that.
Is it really?
According to Google.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't the zombie boy named R?
I don't know. I've never watched that movie.
Oh man, that just awoken something in me.
Oh, the Haley Steinfeld one's from 2013, so that's probably the newest.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that I kind of remember the one that I remember kind of, I don't want to say kind of liking, because obviously the story is pretty much the same throughout most of its adaptations, but the Haley Steinfeld Douglas Booth one is the one that I remember visually a lot more because I liked the cinematography in it, and I guess Haley Steinfeld, I love her. So but yeah, the Leonardo DiCaprio one was interesting. I don't really remember much from it. I just remember that it was a more modern take on the story, but it was still ultimately the same story.
I remember thinking it was weird because they were always like, "Oh, I take out my sword," but they were holding guns instead.
Yeah.
Because they didn't change the script. They just like did the like actions and stuff were newer.
Yeah.
or more modern is what I mean. The one I remember the most was the 1968 one, just because I remember thinking that the girl who plays Juliet was like beautiful. I thought she was stunning, and I liked the costume designs in it.
Mm-hmm.
I only remember that one because I remember me and everyone in my class like were freaking out at how much the guy. If you're listening to this, go look up Romeo and Juliet 1968 and tell me that that the guy who plays Romeo is not like the spitting image of Zac Efron.
I'm
Like,
looking it up right now.
Fading might be pushing it, but he does look really similar.
It's like it was ridiculous, especially yeah.
You know what? Yeah, I can. It's a bit of a stretch, but I can definitely kind of tell.
Stretch, but I remember me and my class like in a lot of the scenes we were just like, is that Zac Efron? I'm pretty sure that's Zac Efron, bro. I remember in our class we watched us like the first 10 minutes from the Leonardo DiCaprio one, but we never watched that one in class, and I've only seen it like one time outside of school, and I never want to watch it again.
Yeah, so that I don't think I don't. Yeah, I think I said it already, but I don't remember watching the Leonardo DiCaprio one, just because I think like modernizing it can only really work so well. Like if you try to put like an interesting twist on Shakespeare, maybe you could probably not, obviously not do the whole story in verbatim, but like there's certainly a way that you can do it. And I'm thinking of 12th Night's adaptation, or I'll get to that one in a minute actually, but Macbeth with Michael Fassbender and Marion Cotillard. I love that one. And strangely, on 12th Night, actually, there was the one with Amanda. What the hell is her name again?
Amanda something?
Like it's do you guys remember the Amanda show?
Not really.
Okay, well, let me see if I can find it. It's shit.
Amanda Bynes?
Oh yeah, Amanda Bynes. Yeah, it's the one with Amanda Bynes. She's the man. That's a 12th.
I was gonna say, are we talking about She's the Man?
Yeah, that's basically 12th Night. What other 12th Night adaptations on there? Has there been an actual
I saw
like
a really
movie?
cool one in theaters a few years ago. I actually don't know, but I saw a really cool one. I saw it live in theaters a couple years ago.
Oh, there's one with
like they did puppets, and it was really cool.
There's one with Helena Bonham Carter. Bonham? Yeah.
Helena Bonham Carter, yeah.
Yeah. There's that one with her.
Olivia, that's cool.
Yeah. Alex, do you want to talk about like 12th Night like from a performing perspective, because you and I both did it?
It was so much fun. Because it was grade 12, so like at my school how we did it was like usually the 12th graders get like the big roles just because it's like their last year and it's like the big hurrah, right? So I actually played viola, and it was really fun being able to like do that with my friends. We actually did like an adaptation, sort of like we just did the play, but we did it as like toys in like a kid's playroom. So Viola and Sebastian were like Raggedy Ann and Andy. I think Olivia was supposed to be like a Barbie doll, kind of, and like Malvolio was like a tin soldier, and Feste was Jack in the Box, and that kind of stuff. So that was really fun. We had really fun costumes. Yeah. Also, like, I know people listening to this can't see me, so this is almost not worth mentioning, but my hair is really, really long, and my hair's been really, really long for a long time. And so we had a really fun time spending like half an hour getting my hair into the wig cap to put on the wig. It took so long.
Oh my God. That's funny. So for me, we did 12th Night. I was Antonio, and our theme actually was steampunk, which yeah, I think I talked about this before, but yeah, so our theme was steampunk, so that meant like a steampunk stage, steampunk inspired costumes, and it looked awesome. Like I obviously don't want to show any screenshots because of, people probably wouldn't have known, but like I loved that production so much. Like it was, to not get into a lot of it, it was really, really fun. When it all finally came together, basically, because there were months where it was like forming Shakespeare like this. For me personally, I had never really done it, so I was like, the hell do I do? But once you get in, like once you start understanding like physical comedy and like comedic timing, I think especially like that's when it was all starting to work out. Because when eventually we did get it, like it worked. It turned out to be a really fun production, and I remember. So, okay, go ahead. I'll share my story later.
No, I just want to say really quickly, I find that really interesting because, like I said, my school did like Shakespeare from like grade 7 onwards, and one of the things that we did in middle school when we first started reading it was, like we would assign parts to like certain people, and they would come up. We would like go up to the front and like read, like in front of the class. And so I think for that reason, I had like a little bit of experience performing Shakespeare. And then also in 1 year in drama, we had this like it's like an amalgamation where they took like scenes from different Shakespeare plays and kind of like combined them all together. And so like we were split into groups that had 2 scenes each, and we had to basically do like take the scenes, put them together, and then like put all the scenes like together all in a row and perform them like that. So I also had experience doing it that way. So I had a bit of experience with performing Shakespeare before I was actually in a Shakespeare play.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think with I think maybe if you're performing a drama, it might be a little bit different. But for me, performing a Shakespeare comedy, like I really had to. I guess in hindsight, it probably would have been nice, like really understanding physical comedy and comedic timing, because at the time, I don't know. I think I think I was playing Antonio a little bit more seriously than I could have done, but that's what hindsight is about, basically.
Too.
He is, yeah.
I remember because like our drama class was big enough that we actually had 2 casts, and so the guy that was the Malvolio in my class, because he was a tin soldier, he had a lot of fun with like the physical comedy of the character. Like I remember there's like the ring scene, right? Where Malvolio was like trying to give Viola the ring. And so there was like one point where like the ring is on the ground. He just kind of like stops, stares at me for a minute, looks at the ring, bends over like really slowly with his arm outstretched, picks it up, and then stands like back up straight just as slowly. It was so funny. There were some times when I had a really hard time keeping a straight face. Oh
man. Okay, so to quickly tie into that, actually, there was at one point where so I think it was our opening night, and so yeah, it was our opening night, and we were just near the end. It's at that pivotal moment where like suddenly everyone in the cast, it's that thing that Shakespeare does where basically in the last few scenes, like suddenly everyone's on stage. And it was the point where suddenly, oh shit, Viola's been discovered that she's actually a girl. And Orsino is like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on? And the guy who was playing Duke Orsino, I won't say his name, but like the guy who's playing Orsino forgot his lines. And he really, I don't know what compelled him to do this, but in front of an audience, when he said the Lord doth forgot his lines, it was, let me put it this way. Everyone on stage was like, there were people who were either trying not to laugh or broke. People in the audience loved it, but everyone backstage wanted to kill him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, God.
Like,
oh my god.
Oh no.
So funny.
I had to think. So I was Antonio, right? I had myself in cuffs, and I had to physically turn away. I had to because I was being pretty serious about it, because I was like, wait, what the hell? What, like, because I was because I think at some point in that whole scene too, Antonio was confronting Sebastian to be like, "What the fuck, dude? What the hell is happening?" And when the guy or when Orsino dropped that, I'm like, "Fuck." And yeah, I remember the person who was playing Sir Toby Belch, broke. I think a couple.
Funny.
Yeah, the person who's playing.
That's in character for Toby, though. It's fine.
Yeah, but like it was so obvious that they broke character.
That's funny.
And it was our opening night, and that was our standard. But luckily the guy like remembered, so we were good. But anyway, I guess it's
no. So in the version we did at my school, like at the end after like the final scene, we did like this like freeze frame before going into the song.
Yeah.
I remember one time during rehearsal, the guy playing Orsino, like we were supposed to just like stand there and smile at each other, like holding hands or whatever. And for some reason he decided it would be a good idea to pick me up. So he just like scooped me up in his arms, and we had to stand there because like we didn't join until like the last verse. So we were just supposed to stand there until like the last verse of the song. And he was like holding me in his arms for like more than a minute. And by the end he was like, "We're never doing that again."
Oh my god.
I was like, that's probably for the best.
Okay. Good. All right. Let's move on to another thing. And I guess because Gabe's been so quiet for so long, I'm sorry, by the way, but let's talk about Macbeth. Which is, I think, arguably between the ones that we studied in high school, and I think really even now is probably my favorite Shakespeare play. I think it's definitely my favorite just because it really delves into like the supernatural and the consequences of greed and power. It's, if I can recall, one of if not the shortest that he's produced, and to look at the movie specifically, and that's why I'm calling on Gabe for some help here. I really was curious about the people who would play Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, and Michael Fassbender and Marion Cotillard did a great job as the two of them.
I think they did a fantastic job. Michael Fassbender in that movie, he's a very underrated actor in my opinion. I know like he's in a lot of mainstream movies, so calling him underrated is a little like weird. But I definitely don't think he gets like the credit he deserves. He's he can possess a lot of gravity, and he can like, I think for that movie he was really well cast for like sort of possessing that gravity of that character, and like the weight of his lines. You can feel that in all the words he says. Iambic pentameter is something that I always struggled with Shakespeare. And I felt that he was he did a very good job of sort of carrying that way of speaking in a way that like that never like felt super forced, because that's a problem I think a lot of Shakespeare adaptations have, is that I don't think a lot of actors, no offense to any particular actors, just a general thing, I don't think a lot of actors really know how to like naturally speak in iambic pentameter. And I think he did a really good job of sort of carrying that way of speaking into like the sort of heavy, weighty dialogue that movie has. It's very intense, very like Game of Thronesy, grrr sort of talk, and I think they did a good job of translating it over.
Yeah.
I was curious, so I looked up the number of lines. Macbeth is shorter than Twelfth Night.
Yeah, I think I'd said earlier, but I don't know if it's the shortest or if I know it's one of the shortest.
It's the 6th shortest according to this list. The shortest is Comedy of Errors, and then Midsummer Night's Dream, then Gentleman of Verona, then Tempest, then Pericles, then Macbeth, then Twelfth Night.
Okay.
It is Andronicus is down here too.
Yeah. There's the I guess touching on one aspect of Macbeth actually while we're here, there is the Macbeth Curse.
Yeah, I was like, as soon as you start talking it, I'm just like, I'm such a drama kid that every time I hear it, I just like automatically like tense up a little bit.
Yeah, you wince a little bit. Yeah. So all three of us did drama. Yeah, all three of us did drama, and the Macbeth Curse is because. So I don't know if a lot of people actually know of this, but for people who don't know what the Macbeth Curse is, Macbeth was being performed at a time where I guess where they just didn't have smartphones, so they had to pay attention. But in actuality, it was performed at a time where there was a lot of belief in the supernatural, and because of that, they like a lot of people at the time actually thought that there were actual witches having an influence on the entire thing. So, I think there was like a ritual that would kind of, I don't want to say ban, but it would kind of like set the stage for everything that was about to happen, because whenever you would say the name Macbeth on stage without doing the ritual, bad things would happen to the production. And over time, there was reports of like whole tents being lifted off the ground or something, technical malfunctions. I don't know if anyone's died, but yeah, like that level of influence, especially like analyzing it, like you wouldn't really think about this stuff when you're just reading Shakespeare through high school, but like when you're actually going into the complexity of it, it's like shit, that's insane.
When I was in grade 9, we put on a production of The Wizard of Oz, and we were actually talking about this. And I remember one of the, like everyone else refers to it as the Scottish play, because you don't say the name when you're in theater. When you're in a theater, like that's just like against the rule. And I remember someone said Macbeth, and like all the older students like turned to them and like, you have to go run 3 laps around the school. Otherwise, like you have to, and they like literally forced this kid to go run 3 laps around the school to undo the curse. Like, theater kids take this stuff seriously. Yeah,
it wasn't even during the actual production either, for my school at least. Like there were the trolls who were like just saying the name, and it's like, dude, what the fuck, right? But when it came time, like during actual actual production, if anyone actually said it, or actually no, even if no one said it and there was no production happening, because we were in the theater, and if someone did say it, then what would happen is they would get kicked out of the theater. And I think the senior most member, I don't know if it's senior or if it's definitely like the younger, like either the senior or the youngest, had to go to the door and basically admit the person back in.
Yeah, no, at our school it was you had to go run 3 laps around the school to undo the curse.
Yeah.
Like, whoever said it had to do that.
Yeah. Gabe, how about you? Did your department have anything with
I never saw a kid run laps, but I know that a kid was like sent to just go run laps because he said Macbeth, and like I remember it was the first time that I was not a theater kid when I joined theater. I basically joined theater for an easy credits, and so I got lucky that I was a witness to this and not a victim of it, because I saw it and I was like, holy fucking shit. You guys like really take that seriously, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, my theater class was very superstitious. My professor, like, or my teacher took part in it. She was even like, I think she was the first one when this kid said Macbeth. I think she was the first one to call him out for it, and then like sent him to do labs. It was like, I was like, wow, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Shit. Yeah, my teachers were always my teachers hammered it down that like
ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was like a hazing ritual almost. I watched this poor fucking kid get hazed.
Yeah. It's a basic rule of the theater. It's like, I mean, like, even if nothing else, right? Like, it's a respect thing. You don't fucking say just don't fucking say it, or else you're gonna curse the whole thing, right? Like, even if you're just there in the theater, there's going to be other performers who are going to eventually be doing their own thing on it, right? So just don't fucking say it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Anyway, I think
respect the rules of the space.
Yeah.
Although no one observed what I found out after this, and what a friend of mine who's in the class found out after this, was that like no one went out to observe him. So what would happen? This is so stupid. What would happen is like every now and then me and my friend would both like coordinate to say Macbeth, so that we would be sent out to quote, run laps, and then we would fucking just go out for a smoke and come back.
Oh my god, I don't know how to feel about that.